Welcome to the WrestleTalk News. I'm Quinnell. If you've been paying attention to the last few weeks of Raw in particular, you'd have noticed some interesting things. Gunther versus Tommaso Ciampa in the main event, the tag titles being more important than ever in recent history, Tegan Nox being back on our screens, Johnny Gargano returning to reunite DIY? These don't seem like Vince McMahon booking decisions, do they? Well, there may be a reason for that. PW Insider originally reported that the word going around backstage in WWE was that Vince McMahon was no longer involved creatively in the company. The reported belief among wrestlers was that Endeavor had knighted Triple H to run creative and he'll be responsible for 99.9% of it going forward. It's worth noting that this was not confirmed, but is what the wrestlers believe to be true. Fightful Select then had a follow-up report, noting a boost in morale backstage. Vince McMahon reportedly over the last few months never sat in on creative meetings, but sent remote changes, often close to the show's airtime. However, over these last few weeks, those last-minute changes have essentially stopped, aside from last-minute changes due to medical reasons. This doesn't necessarily mean that Vince is out for good, because he was out for good when he retired last year, and look how that one turned out. However, things are different now in a post-merger world. This isn't Vince's call anymore. Sean Ross Sapp had some interesting speculation on the Fightful post-Raw show where he took a guess at what he thought could be happening here. Let's paint a potential picture as I paraphrase Sean's words. Vince McMahon never wanted to leave. He thought he was bulletproof but was forced to, so he retired. He then found the one deal, the merger, that would allow him to come back, but everybody else around him knows that WWE is better off creatively and financially without him. So yes, Ari Emanuel allowed Vince to return to the fold, but now the merger is done and sorted, Vince is being taken off of the creative side of things to allow WWE to flourish, and so Vince can remain as a figurehead. He's nothing more than a relic, a statue in the corner. He's effectively an all but job title been removed from WWE. Again, all speculation, but educated speculation, which means now, with Vince's lack of overall voting power, this could genuinely actually be the end of Vince McMahon in WWE creative. But much like the wrestlers mentioned in Fightful's report, I'll believe it when I see it. Now today is Tuesday, the 10th of October 2023, and lots of important things are happening today. It's Tempest's birthday, it's Tony Khan's birthday, it's NXT, and it's Dynamite. This past week in wrestling news has been talking about the insane lengths both shows are going to stack the deck and make sure they win in the ratings war. It's insane, and I love it. NXT will feature John Cena, Paul Heyman, Asuka, Cody Rhodes making an announcement, and a teased appearance from The Undertaker, which is already bonkers itself. But just to add insult to injury, it was then announced that the first 30 minutes of NXT tonight will also be commercial free. I'm sure Tony Khan took this reasonably. Oh, no, wait, he went on a tirade, it seems. Tony Khan responded in kind by announcing that AEW Dynamite's first 30 minutes are also going to be commercial free. Anything WWE can do, TK can also do. But it didn't end there, because TK then announced a 30-minute buy-in show before Dynamite, which would also feature Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki for the Ring of Honor and New Japan Strong titles. And Fightful confirmed that Dynamite also secured a 10-minute overrun for their show tonight. Wrestling is absolutely wild, and I'm so here for it. TK also had some fun tweeting like a madman through the night last night, including tweeting this gif. Subtle, Tony. He also called out a fan who said he wasn't going to watch, with a gif of Roddy Strong saying, "Who gives a f***?" And when others complained about him tweeting it, saying that if Vince did something like this, AEW fans would be furious and crying, TK responded to them saying, if Sir Vince McMahon said this, it would be the least of his alleged misdeeds. At this point, I'm convinced Tony Schiavone is just going to start spoiling the main event of NXT when Dynamite starts tonight. Now, have fun tonight, everybody, and enjoy wrestling. Now, over to Luke for the Raw review.
Well, thank you for that little bit of news, but before we get into the Raw review, it's time to hear about another potential Match of the Year candidate with a Spotify Premium member, Mark Markuson. That's interesting, Mark. What's your favourite album of all time?
Oh, I don't have time to listen to music. I have wrestling to watch.
But, I mean, you do stuff outside of this, right? Like, you have downtime. Surely you do other things.
Here's where you're going wrong, Luke. You see, if you're a real fan of wrestling, you watch every single show. Otherwise, you don't deserve an opinion. The best wrestling this week came from the final of Stardom's 5-star Grand Prix between Maika and Suzu Suzuki. Now, I read on the internet that nobody cares about women's wrestling, and that's a shame, because the women in this match delivered 15 minutes of breakneck combat. After brawling on the outside for a while, they squared up and each pointed to the ring, agreeing that they were too good for this to end anywhere other than the mat. And they proved it, as they wrestled a superb, even match that barely stopped for breath. Their chemistry was perfect, their moves were crisp and tight. Snap German here, Poison Rana there. The narrative within it was superb too, using their momentum against each other. As the clock ran down, Michael went for this unbelievable avalanche suplex, only to roll through and hit a 3 Amigos. It was just stunning. But it was Suzuki who climbed to the top rope and hit her Sky Twister press to score the 3. Breathtaking, outstanding. It's almost impossible to give this match a high enough rating.
But Mark, you have to. Like that's why you're here, is to give us star ratings.
It was really good.
Yeah, I get that, but like you got one job, bud.
Yeah.
You need to give us a star rating here, mate.
What was I on?
I'm gonna check.
It's better than last week.
It's 25 was what you ran last time. So 25.
Well, I'll leave it to fate then. The match was so good, I'll leave it up to fate then. So 25 plus 28 stars.
I don't know what his qualifications are, really. Where did you find him? Really? Surprising. Honestly, I can't believe that accent is fake. But anyway, it's now time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka he's gone, right? Like, for sure, he's gone this time. Edition of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. The show opened with Seth Rollins coming out to celebrate his World Championship defense at Fastlane, teasing the idea that he was going to have to relinquish the title due to his ouchie back, but revealed that he's just getting started. The crowd enjoyed this bait and switch, but then did boo him when he said he wanted a night off, which I found pretty funny. I don't give a toss about your bad back, mate. Do a stomp. Drew McIntyre came out to challenge Seth for a match for the title, not tonight, not next week, but when Seth is 100% at Crown Jewel. Seth accepted the challenge and continued his party before being attacked by Damian Priest. Drew watched on as Seth was being beaten down, but then stopped Dominic Mysterio from handing Priest the briefcase to cash in, and Seth took Damian out. Later, Seth asked Drew why he wouldn't help New Day but would help him, and Drew responded, sensibly so, that he's only getting involved in other people's business when it's also his business. This is a great character beat for Drew, and one that I particularly enjoyed. Damian Priest held up JD McDonough, which looked like that one meme for a bit, and asked him to take out Drew McIntyre later. Spoilers for later in this review, that did not go well for JD. They also announced that Judgment Day will get a rematch against Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso for the tag titles next week. Speaking of things that I enjoyed, Kofi Kingston took on Ivar of the Viking Raiders in a Viking Rules match, but not before WWE successfully trolled me into thinking my broadcast had gone wrong when Michael Cole and Wade Barrett were dubbed in French. It was actually just a short promotional piece for Paris 2024, but it genuinely made me think something had gone wrong. Well played, WWE. Well played. This match wasn't as good as their out-of-nowhere banger they had a couple of weeks ago, but it was still a hell of a lot of fun. Valhalla got involved and Ivar squashed Woods against the barricade and then hit Kofi with the moonsault for the win. Raquel Rodriguez and Nia Jax had a pretty standard giantess battle, which wasn't all that interesting, and then ended in a DQ, which made it even less interesting. Are we sure that Vince is gone? Rhea Ripley ran in and brawled before Shayna Baszler also ran in for more brawling. She took out Ripley and stood tall. The post-match was better than all the actual stuff bell to bell. Later in the show, Rhea demanded a match with Baszler, which will happen next week. Jay and Cody came out for a promo, but were quickly interrupted by Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, who came out to the wrong theme. Someone tweet Matthew and let him know. And this set up a tag match for later tonight with the titles on the line. They laid down some groundwork for Cody still having his sights set on Roman finishing the story, with Cole even asking Cody about his dad. But I am glad that they followed up on the Sami and KO grievances, with Jay winning the tag belt that they worked so hard to get off him at WrestleMania. And if you didn't need any more confirmation that Triple H was for sure running all of this broadcast, then check this out. Ricochet, Bronson Reed and Chad Gable had a triple threat match to crown a new #1 contender to Gunther for next week. This is proper MyGM booking, including spending that extra bit of money on a Nakamura run-in to grow that rivalry. Earlier in the broadcast, Shinsuke Nakamura tried to cut a promo about his Fastlane loss, but was attacked by Ricochet. Nakamura responded by attacking Ricochet during his entrance and laid him out with a GTS. Hideo Itami WWE return confirmed. They later announced that Ricochet will face Nakamura next week. This was a great triple threat, as you would expect, and the final few minutes were fantastic. Gable hit Ricochet with a Chaos Theory suplex, but Reed Reed pulled Ricochet out of the move, then slammed him into Gable. He then hit the Tsunami for the win. Superb stuff, and sets up a big meaty men slapping meat match for Gunther next week. Becky Lynch promoted her new book, and Xia Li walked up asking, what about her? What about Xia Li? Good question, actually, but what about her? She hasn't had a match on Raw or SmackDown since March 24th when she teamed with Lacey Evans of all people. That was before WrestleMania. But yeah, for you main event heads around there, I know that she's been wrestling on that show. Not winning, of course. She's even been beaten by Nikki Cross and Indy Hartwell. So yeah, what about Xia Li? But this is what Becky's NXT Women's Championship run should be giving us. They're treating it like a mid-card women's title, and it's allowing for more women to get on the show and show us what they can do. Drew McIntyre destroyed JD McDonough in a handful of minutes in a match that you knew wasn't going to go too long when Dom interfered, and it did not lead to Raw rolling on. The match just continued with no ad break, and Drew won. Good stuff. Wade Barrett interviewed DIY, and they were attacked by Imperium. Giovanni Vinci also got a 10 out of 10 no-notes video package later in the broadcast too. It was so good. Becky Lynch beat Tegan Nox to retain her NXT Women's Championship in a very good match. Nox got a video package before, and this match did so much more to get her over than the previous 2 weeks of 2-minute matches. Sadly, those short matches meant that this crowd never bought Nox as a genuine threat to Bex, and therefore didn't pop for any of her near falls, but Michael Cole did go out of his way to put over this match, and the idea of losing in defeat, it was all good stuff. Tegan was upset backstage and was consoled by Natalya. The party girls walked up to start a row, and that row was completed by Chelsea Green and Piper Niven to set up a match between Niven and Natty for next week. It's been a while since I've got to do this, but all together now, all the Raw women standing in a row. And the main event saw Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, with correct music this time, having a barnstormer of a tag match with Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. I really enjoyed the emotion of this match, as parts of it were just trying to wrestle cordially and respectfully, but it kept boiling over into actual animosity fighting. It was great. And Cody and Jey won clean with the Co-1D, which for my money is a better name than the Cody 1D. And perhaps most surprisingly of all, Kevin Owens hugged Jey after the match and celebrated with him. They're friends now, friends! And that was the show, and what a fun time it was. Everything they did hit, by the Nia Jax match of course, and continued this hot streak for WWE. This week's show is 4 out of 5. You think you know and have opinions on all the women's champions? Well, here's me and Pete reviewing every WWE Women's Champion in 3 words or less few. Sorry, what? What's that now? All right, come here. What's wrong now? No, you're not on the list. Because you're not a... Okay, I'll ask you a question. Did you win the WWE Women's Championship or the Divas Championship? Oh, well, I think that's a lie.